Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Summer is upon us. For me, summer is definitely the months of June, July, and August. They are the hottest months here in Florida. I will say our spring months typically are pretty hot. It's been hot lately, but it's really hot in the summer. And during those really hot months, when no one is in school, when everyone's going to the beach or the pool or on vacation, we need a TBR that we plan to read in the summer months. I am definitely a big lover of romance when it comes to the summertime. Romance and even some general fiction. I don't typically read a ton of fantasy in the summer unless it is a certain kind of fantasy. You'll get what I mean. Typically something that's a little more romance heavy. So I have come up with 12 books that I am putting on what I'm calling my summer TBR. And these are all books that are going to be on my radar in June, July, and August. And we're going to see if I can get through them this summer. Now, I'm not going to guarantee and swear and promise that I will read every single one of these books. Oh, okay. I'm not going to promise that I will be reading every single one of these books during the summer, but they will 100% be on my radar, and these will be books that I am definitely keeping an eye on. And as a mood reader, if I am in the mood to read these books, they will be getting read. First up, I want to talk about the book First Time Caller. And this is a book that actually my friend Brittany just finished reading at the time I'm recording this. She gave it 5 stars. So this book seems so cute, so sweet. It's a retelling of Sleepless in Seattle, which I will be 100% honest and say I've never seen. But I think that's a good thing because I'm not trying to compare it to anything else. And I can watch the movie Sleepless in Seattle if I end up really liking the book. Our male main character, who is the host of a radio show, and I think it's like a romance radio show where they're trying to match people up, solve people's relationship problems, and he gets a call from a little girl who is wanting romance advice for her mom. Ends up, I think, him being our male main character, the mom being our female main character. They somehow begin working together to try to help her with the romance in her life. They're gonna fall for each other, is where I'm thinking this is going. So, sounds super, super cute. I've heard really good things about the book. The cover is adorable. So I do really, really want to read this. And like I said, I think it would be fun to read this. And then if I really enjoy it, to then watch Sleepless in Seattle for the first time, because that just, it sounds like a fun time. Definitely a cute little summer bucket list thing that I could add to my plans for this summer. The next book that is on my radar for reading this summer is The Wedding People. This book I've heard really great things about. I've heard it's really sweet and emotional. Our main character, her name is Phoebe, and she shows up at a hotel, and she has been wanting to come to this hotel for a while and come back here, but she'd always dreamed that she would be coming back with her husband, and she has come alone. I don't really know what it is that's going on in her relationship, but seems like they are in some rocky territory, or like maybe they have split up. And now Phoebe is here at this hotel, and she is the only guest staying at the hotel who is not part of this like wedding that is going to be held there. And it seems that we're going to be meeting multiple people, multiple guests and family members, the bride even, that are going to be in this wedding. They are the wedding people, and that Phoebe is going to be learning some things from these people, maybe learning some things about herself, learning some things about life. Again, I've heard just that it's really emotional and very impactful, and I would really, really like to read this book because of the amazing things that I've read about it. I also noticed that it is on Libby, so I may or may not have already requested it from my Libby, and will hopefully be reading that one soon. Because I love an emotional book, especially if a book can make me cry or really make me have some introspective thoughts. Then I will 9 times out of 10 give it 5 stars. I love emotional books. And I haven't read anything from this author before, so I would like to read this book see what I think, and then have a look at some of the other stuff that she's written. But now I want to talk about an author that I have read several of her books. I have read all of her Fourth Wing series so far that has come out, and that is Rebecca Yarros. And then I have read one other Rebecca Yarros book, that was The Things We Leave Unfinished, and that book wrecked me. I sobbed and cried. It was crazy. I even took a picture of myself crying and shared it to my Instagram story, and Rebecca Yarros shared my Instagram story. That was me sobbing. That book tore me apart. I did not see the ending coming, and she broke me. So again, as we've established, I love emotional books and books that can really hit me in the heart and make me have that emotional reaction. So with all that said, I want to read Variation by Rebecca Yarros. I really don't know much about this book, but my friend Melody read it and I know she enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure my friend Brittany read it as well. And because I have enjoyed everything I have read from Rebecca Yarros thus far, I'm very intrigued by this book and I would like to read it. And I will say some of Rebecca Yarros' other books are on my radar, but I'm not immediately jumping to read those because I heard that she's going to be putting them out in hardback and re-releasing them with new covers. So when those come out in hardback, since I have all the Fourth Wing books in hardback, when I want to read those, I may wait to read them for when they come out in hardback, if that's making any sense. That way I could have all my Rebecca Yarros books in hardback and not have like a mix of paperback and hardback, even though honestly, I am a paperback girl 9 times out of 10. I love holding a paperback book and just how comfortable it feels. I love the size of a paperback. I love the way it looks and the way it feels and I don't know what else it really is. I just love paperback books. But anyways, that's not what we're talking about here. Variation is a romance book by Rebecca Yarros, so I will be hopefully reading that this summer. I've mentioned in the past that I am planning to try to read some of Abby Jimenez's backlist. I have read at this point 2 of her books and then 1 of her short stories, and I have really enjoyed all of them. So I want to read some of her backlist this summer if I can, because again, romance is definitely the kind of mood I'm typically in when I am reading in the summertime. My cat is scratching at the door and meowing. Poor thing. So there are actually 3 Abby Jimenez books on this list that I would like to read this summer. We have Yours Truly, Life's Too Short, and the Happily Ever After playlist. Those are 3 books that I know for sure I can actually get on my Libby. I can read them, and then if I like them, buy them and put them on my shelf right here with my other Abby books. I did read The Friend Zone by her a couple months ago and really enjoyed that one. That book made me cry. Just for the Summer made me cry. And then even Say You'll Remember Me had me teary at some parts, even though that book wasn't my favorite. So based off of recommendations from some of my friends who have read more of Abby's books, I do think I want to read some of that backlist. And I think I should be able to get through a good portion of that this summer. And from what I understand, some of her books are in like an interconnected series where they take place with people who are related or people that are just in the same state or same world. So I want to find out all those connections. Even Just for the Summer is connected to some of these other books that I'm wanting to read. So I wanna get all the juicy details on those characters and find out exactly what's going on with them and who they are. And then we actually have a new release book that I am wanting to read. This book I actually just bought the other day. That is Shield of Sparrows. This is the deluxe edition of this book. Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. And honestly, I haven't, I just remembered, I did look at the inside. The ink papers are beautiful. The cover is gorgeous. This is by Carrie, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is her fantasy debut. At the time that I'm reading this, I'm actually reading my first Carrie book. It is a book club book for us, and it is called The Bribe. It's a romance from what I understand, and it already seems like we have a bit of a mystery element to it. One of my friends has actually already finished Shield of Sparrows, and she was telling me about it, explaining the kind of premise of the book, and oh my gosh, it sounds so incredibly good. It is a fantasy, and as I said, I'm not a huge fantasy reader in the summer, but I am still a fantasy girl at heart. So when it comes to wanting to read a fantasy, maybe I need to break up some of the romance I plan on reading, or I just want something different. I think that's going to be where I head, because it is a romance heavy fantasy, and it's kind of a Cinderella retelling in a way, and it just sounds so good. I'm just gonna read you guys the little blurb part in the front, because you'll see. If you're not terrified, you're doing it wrong. Long ago, the gods unleashed monsters upon the 5 kingdoms of Calandra to remind us that humans are insignificant, that we must pray to the gods for mercy throughout our fragile, fleeting lives. I didn't need a deity to remind me I was powerless. Being a princess had never been more than a performance. 23 years of empty titles and hollow traditions. My sister revels in the spectacle, basking in the attention and flawlessly playing her part. I was never asked to be a part of the charade, until the day an infamous monster hunter sailed to our shores, the day a prince walked into my father's throne room and ruined my life, the day I married a stranger, signed a magical treaty in blood, and set off across the continent to the most treacherous kingdom in all the realm. That was the day I learned that not all myths are make-believe, that lies and legends are often the same, and that the only way to kill the monsters we fear was to become one. That book will be helping me get my fantasy fix when I am in the mood for it this summer. But when I am in the mood for something a little more mysterious, a little bit creepier or spookier, I will be reading The Tenant by Frida McFadden. I have read a couple of Frida's books and have really enjoyed them. They're kind of an easy read. There's not typically any world building, because they all take place in real world situations, but they are thrillers, typically with some form of a mystery aspect where we are trying to figure out what exactly is happening to our characters. This is her newest book. It just came out, and I'm very excited to read it. I'm not going to even lie, I don't need to know exactly what it's about. I just need to see Frida McFadden's name on it, and I know that I'm going to read it. Especially because I am not someone who loves really scary or really spooky books or movies or stories or any kind of situation like that. So her stuff, while it is thrilling, I don't get a super dark, heavy feeling when I'm reading those, and that is definitely something I try to avoid when I am reading a thriller or a mystery or anything that is supposed to be scary. And another side note, kind of just about Frida McFadden's books in general, I think they are all the perfect size. They're all the perfect size between too short and too long. They're all, let's see, I have The Housemaid right here. They are all under 400 pages. This one is just over 300. And this size is incredible. Her writing is so quick. The pacing is done really well. And I feel like she sprinkles a few little plot twists throughout each story that keeps you hooked and keeps you wanting to read. Again, I'm not very big on thrillers, so I feel like her books are where I'm going to go if I am in the mood for one, or if I'm in the mood for something that's just going to be different than just romance or fantasy, because those are typically the 2 genres that I am reading. So throwing a thriller in there every once in a while is great. And in a way, I guess it could be a palate cleanser for me. It feels weird to say that a thriller could be a palate cleanser, but again, sometimes you just need something a little different. Now, something that I'm planning to read this summer, but it's a little out of order, is I want to read the rule book, which is actually the second book in the series for The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. The rule book kind of sounds more my speed. It's second chance romance, enemies to lovers, they are college exes who are reuniting, and I just am really drawn to that book. So I think because they're just interconnected, I'm going to probably read that series out of order, which is not something I typically do on purpose. But because this book is really kind of calling my name and speaking to me, this summer I plan to be reading The Rule Book by Sarah Adams. Again, it is another romance, but summer is romance time. We want something light, we want something fluffy, we want something to make us feel good that we can read on the beach or by the pool or while we are traveling on vacation. And yeah, I think I am getting all those vibes from this book. Okay, I have 3 more books that I want to talk about, and one of them is actually the last book in a series I want to finish, or I kind of don't want to finish, the Addicted Calloway Sisters series by Krista and Becca Ritchie. The last book is Some Kind of Perfect. It's kind of an extended epilogue because from what I understand, based off what my friend Melody has told me, the last book that I read, book 9, was where they were going to end the series, but now they have an extended epilogue book, is a whole book that happens 10 years later. And I love these characters, so I do. I want to see where they're at. I want to see what they're doing. I want to get more closure with them because I love them and care about these characters so deeply. You guys have heard me talk about the Addicted series since probably the first video I posted on this channel. I have been taking my time reading this series because I just really enjoy it and I don't want it to be over. It's 10 books, which is a lot. And it's definitely just a character study where you are following these people and what they're dealing with and how they grow and change and all that. And I love it. So I do, unfortunately and fortunately, want to and need to finish this series this summer. Honestly, it's probably going to be one of the first books I read in the summer because I already miss them. It's been a couple months since I read the 9th book, so it's time to go visit my friends and finish out their story. Now, a book that I want to read that is a little bit different for me is Carrie, Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I wasn't going to read this book. A couple of years ago when I heard it, I just wasn't all that interested. I had read a couple of Taylor Jenkins Reid books and I had enjoyed one, not enjoyed the other, but I heard that this book could be comparable to how The Favorites was done that I just read earlier this year, and I really enjoyed The Favorites. Now, these are 2 completely different authors, and I won't say that they are the exact same premise, but from what I understand, in Carrie, Soto is Back, we have a retired tennis player, and I did play tennis throughout high school. I do like tennis, so I do think that that will be fun for me to read because it is something I'm already interested in. But she has been retired now for a while, and now she's going to come out of retirement, and I believe it's going to be her training and her father coaching her. So that dynamic sounds really fun. My best friend, her dad was actually our tennis coach, so if I do really enjoy this book, I think I'm going to recommend it to her. You know, that might be something that really hits home for her and that she can relate to. And I think it would be fun to read a general fiction sports-centric book because it's not centered around a romance, it's not like fantasy, it's just us focusing on this character and her improvement, her growth, and whether or not she's going to be able to pull off this comeback that she wants to have. It's also kind of part of a series from what I understand. A Taylor Jenkins Reid book that I enjoyed was Daisy Jones and the Six, and this book focuses on a band. And I think this is referred to as like the Hollywood series. Yeah, so Carrie, Soto is Back and then Malibu Rising, I think are part of this series with this one. They're not interconnected, but they take place maybe in the same world, or it's just the fact that they're all kind of focused around Hollywood people that can be found in Hollywood. So if it's anything similar to Daisy Jones and the Six and how that one is written, I think I will really enjoy it because I loved that book. And then the final book that I would like to read this summer on my summer TBR is actually called Heiress Takes All. This is a book that I just stumbled upon when I was doing some research on books and looking through some books that I just thought sounded interesting online. And this one, it was described as being Inheritance Games meets Ocean's 11. I love the Ocean's movies, and I absolutely love the Inheritance games. I really love Jennifer Lynn Barnes' series. I loved the Inheritance games. I loved the Naturals. So if this is leaning into something similar, I really think I'm going to enjoy it. Our main character's name is Olivia, and she is 17 years old, and it seems that her father is getting remarried. He has left her mother, left her family, and he's getting remarried. He has cut her out of her inheritance. So she is hoping to pull off some form of heist, and I'm assuming to get back some money from him while all of the wedding festivities are happening. So she's hoping everyone will be paying attention to all the wedding festivities, but then things start going awry. Guests start getting involved, getting in her way, cousins come into play. So I am very intrigued by this book, if you cannot tell. I think that one's going to be really fun. And again, it's different than just a romance or a fantasy. I think that this one will be a great one to throw in there to break up some of the romance that I'm planning to read this summer. But those are the 12 books on my summer TBR. Again, I don't know if I will actually read all of them. I have been reading a lot of books lately, so 12 books for me is not a lot to have read over 3 months, but it's just a matter of, can I sprinkle all of them out throughout everything else I'm going to be reading this summer, because when new releases come out, I'm going to want to read those. There are some other things that I have my eyes on that I know I want to read. So we will see if I can get through all of these. I will keep you guys updated. Keep your eye on my channel, especially on my bi-monthly reading wrap-ups, because there I talk about all the books I will have read. My next one is going to be at the end of June. So we will get the end of my spring reading and the beginning of my summer reading all wrapped up in that video at the end of June, or maybe the beginning of July. We'll see how things pan out. Please comment below what books you plan to read this summer. I would love to add those to my TBR. If not for the summer, then for some time. And I thank you so much for watching my video. I will see you guys next week. Bye!